Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Daniel Debaba with Symphony News Network. We have a breaking news on the execution of 31 Oromo civilians by the Ethiopian government security forces. According to a press release that was issued by the Oromia Support Group today, the OSG received information from the Oromo Liberation Front via its representative in Australia of the detention, extortion, torture, and execution of 31 civilians in a single village, Kondala 01, Begi District, West Wallaga Zone of Oromia region within 6 days from July 10th to July 15th. According to OSG, Ethiopian National Defense Forces Central Command, 7th Division were responsible for the executions. 2 of the executed men, fathers of 3 and 4 children, were promised release on payment of 50,000 and 100,000 Ethiopian birr, which were around 800 and 1,600 British pounds. These sums were paid, but the victims were killed anyway and thrown on the street. The slaughtered men included fathers of 9, fathers of 5, fathers of 4, and fathers of 3 children. One father with a single child was a teacher, but most of the 31 civilians were called out and executed over 6 days were young men. OSG has now recorded over 650 killings of civilians from January to May 2022, shortly to be published in OSG report number 60. Despite the government's monitoring and regular closure of internet access, presence of military rule throughout most of Oromia region, telecommunication shutdowns, and summary execution of civilians, taking photographs as evidence. Civilian deaths were most prevalent in West Shawa Zone, where almost half of the killings, 262, took place. On several occasions, for example, in North Shawa Zone at Warajarso, and East Shawa Zone at Bishoftu and Horogdru in Kiramu District, summary executions were carried out in mass. Most mass killings were of young men with their bodies tied behind their backs, some when lying on the ground. The number of civilians killed by government and pro-government forces in Oromia accelerated in April, as expected from the heralded government crackdown on OLA and its associates, according to OSG press release 2 in May 2022. Over 1/3 of the killings, which is about 247, were in April, but the onslaught continues. West Shawa and Horogdru, where Amara territorial ambitions are high, are where the killings have been most prevalent. 262 and 114 civilians were killed in both districts. The number of civilians killed in West Wallaga, which is 89, reflect the government's determination to try to eradicate the OLA from that area. On June 27, presidents of the Amara and Oromia regional states announced a joint endeavor to wipe out OLA. Following this pact, heavily armed military convoys of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces and other forces have entered Oromia in different directions from Amara regional state, according to the OLF press release that was issued on July 4th. Further atrocities are expected. The murdered men were Tasfa Muhammad, a father of 4, who was promised release on payment of 100,000 Ethiopian birr or 1,600 British pounds. Despite payment, he was killed and his body was thrown on the street. Number 2, Malaku Gamora, a father of 3, he was promised release payment of 50,000 Ethiopian birr or 800 British pounds, but he was killed anyway, and despite payment being made. Number 3 is Shakaru Jamal. Number 4, Saddam Harun. Number 5, Muhammad Hussein Haji. Number 6, Mahmoud Muhammad. Number 7, Sadiq Yunus. Number 8, Abdo Sadeta. Number 9, Tariku Kibabu. Number 10, Gajosa Tafari. Number 11, Mulukaba. Number 12, Kenfaye Yaikob. Number 13, Muhammad Yesa. Number 14, Abdullah Jiba. Number 15, Jafar Likiti. Number 16, Abagada Musa Waltaji, a father of 9. Number 17, Ramatullah Gate, a father of 5. Number 18, Said Babbo, a father and a teacher. Number 19, Ali Hassan. Number 20, Abdul Qadir Ahmad. Number 21, Yaikob Ahmad. Number 22, Sadiq Makko. Number 23, Adam Dangula. Number 24, Tawakkal Hika. Number 25, Habib Muhammad. Number 26, Yaikob Mustafa. Number 27, Abdul Rahim Ragas. Number 28, Dawood Taha. Number 29, Bashir Dingata. Number 30, Dingata Badasa. Number 31, Kimfe Tafarra. These were the Oromo civilians, the 31 Oromo civilians executed by the Ethiopian National Defense Force and other affiliated security forces on 6 days, ranging from July 10 to July 15, according to the Oromia Support Group. The Finfinne News Network receives a similar frequent execution of Oromo civilians who are on detention. Such execution happened in RC, Asala, and in East Shawa Zone in Bosat. Several executions were reported in North Shawa Zone, most of which might have been included in the 650 killings since the beginning of this year. In the previous few weeks, North Oromia, the Wallo Oromos have been receiving attacks from the Amara militantes and the Amara Regional Government Security Forces. The Finfinne News Network frequently receives such executions and detention of Oromo civilians based on their political affiliations or perceived political affiliations. We'll continue to monitor and report on the killings of Oromo civilians by the Ethiopian government and other forces. In another news, the OLA, the Oromo Liberation Army, is shown to display the bodies of the Ethiopian government forces who were killed in an operation that took place in Chancho, Sulta, which lies north of the capital. This operation took place on July 2nd, about 4 days ago. In this footage, the OLA shows the bodies of about 10 Ethiopian National Defense Forces who were killed. And the Oromo Liberation Army was saying this is the daily operations of the Oromo Liberation Army. And he was showing the bodies of the Ethiopian Security Forces. And he says, you came here to search us. This is what happens to you. There is an active firing, an active shooting ongoing in the footage. This footage was issued on Oromia Conflict Monitoring Center on Twitter, and the Twitter account has said it has received this news from the OLA. This footage is highly graphic and viewer discretion is advised.
Ay, pronto. Ona marana marum yara nakakati. Chuk. Ona marana marum yara.
The OLA were here talking to each other, asking and talking about their victory and saying who took this action, put it this operation, and they were saying this was carried out by the OLA Special Operation Unit. That's called Kunmaturgatu, kind of like rapid response unit of the OLA. The Fimfine News Network received credible news from the OLA and other local sources. The OLA has been defeating the Ethiopian National Defense Force. This was verified in the discussion that one of the Ethiopian parliament, one of the Ethiopian MP was here saying on Facebook in the last few weeks. And in that discussion, Angasa Ibrahim was heard saying who is being defeated, who is running away at the battlefield. Within that, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, don't we know this? And the Ethiopian government parliament member of the parliament has confirmed that the OLA has been having an upper hand on the Ethiopian National Defense Forces in Oromia region. The Fimfine News Network frequently receives such reports, and usually we try to verify from the local, and yeah. This action took place very close to the capital. The Chancho is in the north of the capital in Sululta, and it's very close to the capital. The actions of the Oromo Liberation Front have been intensified in the past months. The OLA entered some major cities in the west of the country, including Gimbi. Gimbi is the capital of the West Wallaga zone, and Damdolo, which is the capital of the Kallam Wallaga zone of Oromia regions. The OLA also entered Gambela along with the Gambela Liberation Front. The OLA has been conducting similar intense fightings in Guji and Borona zones, in RC, Bale, and several areas in the central Oromia, in Shawa, and also in Wallo and Hararge. The OLA also takes frequent actions in Jimma and Elubawar. Almost any of the Oromia regional states zones are now under the control of the OLA, or they are contested with the government. Especially in the central Oromia, the Oromo Liberation Armies that are located in Gindabarat, Abuna Gindabarat, in West North Shawa, Adabarga, in southern and west southern central Oromia, in East Shawa zone, in Bosat area, the OLA that operates in Karayu area, they are very intense, very strong, very heavily armed. They have a lot of battle experiences, and they are, as we can see, they are having upper hand on the Ethiopian government forces. The Ethiopian government forces have been deploying heavily armed forces, but most of them are ambushed by the OLA and they are destroyed. In the last few weeks, the Amara regional state military were deployed to Oromia, and most of them were ambushed by the OLA, the Oromo Liberation Army, and most of them are said to have been killed and very few of them escaped, according to the local news that Finfinne News Network received. This fighting continues, and it has been ongoing, and the momentum is building. The OLA is getting closer and closer to major Oromia cities. Ambo is such one city, which is also on the outskirts of the capital on the west. It's one of the western Shawa zone cities, and it's one major city where the Cairo movement was very intense between the 2016 and 2018 Oromo youth protest. This city is currently under the threat of the Oromo Liberation Front, the Oromo Liberation Army. The Oromo Liberation Army is getting closer and closer to the city from time to time, and as a matter of time until this city falls under the control of the OLA. The Ethiopian government tried to smear the name of the OLA in order to deny the OLA a global attention and a global platform, as well as in order to win a support of global powers such as the West, the European country, the United States, Canada, Australia, and the likes. The Ethiopian government tries to play a political game by conducting false flag operations on civilians, especially the Amara civilians that are stationed, that are settled in Oromia due to famine in the 1990s and in the past under Derg regime and Haile Selassie regimes. The Ethiopian government tried to attack those settled Amaras in Oromia state in order to point its fingers towards the OLA, but the OLA has been calling for independent investigation into such allegations. The international media have jumped on the Ethiopian government's bandwagon of propaganda campaign against the OLA and reported the OLA conducted a massacre on Amara in Tole, which the OLA excommunicated and came out and rejected such allegations, and also strongly called for the impartial and a national investigation into the massacre. The OLA had met with Amara settlers in the West Oromia region, and the Amara settlers were heard on record saying that the OLA has been operating among us, and we have a very strong ties and a strong relationship, and we have never had any attack from the OLA. And they have said some of us have lived in this area for over the life of one young adult, and during all those times the OLA has never conducted any civilian attacks. So in effect they were rejecting the allegations of the government. In fact, one of the people who came out and spoke on media said, "I'm a militia myself, an Amara militia," and where the massacre that happened to our people in Tole were carried out by our own people who tried to pin it on the OLA, according to the person who spoke in Amharic. Associated Press and other medias spoke to some people over the phone and reported about the mass killing, but they have never had any footage of what happened. They have never been able to send their journalists to the area where the attack happened. However, on the other hand, from the north of the country, we saw just last month that a footage where about 50 Oromo civilians from Wallo, from Hartsuma area, from Kamise area, were hauled by 2 trucks and were taken to a roadside somewhere, and were executed one after the other, and the video was recorded and it was released. It was during the same time that the news of the Tole massacre came out, which overshadowed the massacre that took place in Wollo, and as well as the massacre that took place in Gambela on the Oromo civilians who are residing in Gambela. For both Oromo cases, there were live footages, evidences, very hard evidences, but none of the international media found it, just like they did about the Tole massacre. It was given a very, a very few coverage, and it didn't last over weeks and weeks like the Tole massacre. The alleged Tole massacre took place around June 18th, over the weekend, and during that time the area where the massacre happened were under the control of Ethiopian National Defense Forces between Gimbi and Nakamt on the highway. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching Finfinne News Network. Please share and subscribe to our programs and channels and social media. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please reach out to us. Don't hesitate to communicate with us. You can reach out to us on our website, fnnmedia.org, on our YouTube channel, Finfinne News Network, on our Telegram account, FNN 2020, on Facebook, FNN 20, and you can reach out to us. Thank you for watching.